The year is 2045. The resource wars have begun. Many nations fight for the remaining fossil fuels available to them. This leads to approximately 200 million deaths and goes down as the bloodiest war in human history. The year is 2050, the end of the resource wars. With the discovery of nuclear fusion and NATO victory over the Eastern Alliance, the war comes to an end. Humanity, after so much death, starts to come together. The year is 2055. 5 years after the resource wars end, the United Nations Space Agency is formed by members of NATO. The year is 2067. 17 years after the end of the resource wars, the first colony ships land on Mars and begin building floating cities above Venus. The year is 2089. Humanity again, seeking greed and power, fights a bloody war, this time between Mars and an Earth-Venus coalition. This war was the first time naval ships were used in space combat, and Earth's superior economy allowed it to outproduce the rebellious Martian navy. Earth is victorious and humanity is united once more. The year is 2091. The UN takes over colonization efforts, and many NATO countries opt to fully unify under the United Nations, while many non-NATO nations reject this idea. The year is 2095. With the combined minds and economies of the United Nations, an FTL drive is created, and research ships set out to nearby systems to chart and survey them. The year is 2115. Titan and Callisto colonization begins, and terraforming starts on Mars. Humanity makes major breakthroughs in space travel and is now ready to journey away from the Sol system and to explore the stars. The year is 2138. After years of designing and construction, the first colony ships depart from Earth and Mars. 1 week later, they establish the first colony of Reach in the Epsilon Eridani system. This was followed by Valhalla in the Alpha Centauri system and New Eden in the Sirius system. The year is 2148. Long-range telescopes identify a wormhole on the edge of UN space. Initial probes identify an isolated extragalactic cluster full of lush, vibrant worlds. 7 colony ships are sent to colonize the space, now nicknamed the Commonwealth Cluster. Unfortunately, not long after the ships entered the wormhole, a large energy signature was detected and the wormhole disappeared, trapping the ships and leading the UN to believe that they had perished. A similar story occurred 3 months later, when over 30 colony ships sent from the Eastern Alliance on Earth don't respond and are believed to have never reached their destination. Some rumour this was by choice and that they had left to be free of the UN's control. The year is 2150. The Imperial Commonwealth of Planets is formed out of the old United Nations colonies and Earth governments, and the first golden age of colonization begins. The year is 2189. The first golden age of colonization ends. 89 planets, moons and asteroids are now home to humanity. The year is 2223. The second golden age of colonization begins with the settling of the outer colonies. The year is 2275. ICP now controls over 200 planets, moons and asteroid colonies as the second golden age of colonization comes to an end. The year is 2286. First contact with other human nations confirms that the old colony ships had indeed left to start their own empires. The ICP expeditionary forces suffer a string of minor defeats after entering contested systems, being unprepared to have to fight for control. The year is 2292. ICP reforms its naval doctrine after successfully repelling raids against Harmony from pirates and nomads. The year is 2310. Harmony is once again attacked, this time a full-scale invasion by a hostile stellar nation. After 6 months of bloody back-and-forth combat, both in orbit and on Harmony's surface, ICP achieves victory, pushing the enemy back once and for all. This ultimately drives ICP to become much more expansionist. The year is 2311. ICP expands into contested systems, culminating in the expansion wars against stellar nations hostile to Earth. The year is 2315. ICP successfully forces a stalemate in the Capella system after winning the Battle of Bad Wolf Station. Confident that the nations that had attacked it had been dealt a serious enough blow, ICP then retreats from the system to establish a defensive border. This marks the end to the expansion of the Psi Percentis sector, and puts focus on expanding the Epsilon Indi sector. The year is 2316. After many years of alliance, the Imperial Commonwealth's biggest ally, the Royal Pandora Republic, was integrated into ICP. Both its High Command and Officer Corps were absorbed, providing further military experience to the Imperial Commonwealth military. The year is 2317. ICP engages the pirate alliance known as ARC. Imperial Commonwealth victory is achieved after an assault on ARC's main base ends in their total collapse. The year is 2318. ICP finds itself at war with a hostile nation known as CIS. After a short and uncostly war, the Imperial Commonwealth achieve victory, forcing an end to the war and claiming a small foothold on their border. The once mighty CIS, under extreme pressure from their loss, shatters into many smaller nations. The year is 2319. A corrupt king usurps the throne. The military acts slowly and precisely, and 1 year later, in 2318, the military high command, still loyal to the true king, arrests and publicly executes the usurper king. They then proceed to place his cousin, the true heir to the royal family, back on the throne after just 1 year in exile. Those still loyal to the usurping king retreat to a previously untouched sector of space and form their own empire. The year is 2321. A new wormhole is spotted on the edge of the Epsilon Indi sector. Initial probing shows it to be an entrance to the Commonwealth Cluster, but this time more stable and capable of reverse travel. ICP sends the First Expeditionary Fleet to investigate and set up the first colony.